Hey y'all, Alex from Music Hub here, and today we'll be doing a review of the 2011 biography by Michael Wallis, David Crockett, The Lion of the West. David Crockett, born the 17th of August 1786 in Limestone, Tennessee, died the 6th of March 1836 at the Alamo in present-day San Antonio, Texas. Most people are aware of the Davy Crockett myth as it was portrayed in the 1950s Disney miniseries starring Fess Parker, but the legend surrounding Crockett actually stems from even back in his own lifetime when he was still alive. A frontiersman who ended up pursuing a career in politics, Crockett became famous thanks to his down-home nature, his advocacy for Western settlers in that western part of Tennessee. And after his political career ended, Crockett took that Tennessean ideology and charisma to the upstart territory of Texas. The image and legend surrounding Crockett's death during the siege of the Alamo in 1836 was a defining moment in the development of Texas as a standalone territory and eventual state, and informed a lot of things about what would become so-called Texan character. This book is written by Michael Wallis, born the 7th of October 1945 in St. Louis, Missouri. A journalist at Time magazine for a number of years, Wallis's most famous book is easily his 1990 work, Route 66, The Mother Road. This was the book that inspired Pixar executive John Lasseter to write what would become the 2006 animated film Cars, and not only does Wallis serve in a consulting role for that film, but he even appears in it performing the voice of Sheriff. Wallis has also written a few other biographies, including one on Billy the Kid, and he's proven to be one of rural America's most well-respected popular historians over his book-writing career. Crockett is Wallis's oldest subject from a chronological perspective, and sometimes it does feel like the author is most comfortable when he's relating Crockett's life to more contemporary personalities. There are a lot of times when Wallis jumps the timeline ahead to make sort of a reflective comment on Crockett's legacy, or on how a moment in Crockett's life impacted that of another famous historical figure. Abraham Lincoln alone gets a couple of these moments, Mark Twain as well. It's a bit distracting, but I recognize that Wallis is doing this to really take apart the mythos surrounding Crockett and really kind of hone in on the human being. And this is something the book does very well. Wallis shows in very straightforward, easy-to-understand prose, I might add. He's a very accessible writer. He shows that Crockett not only knew of his influence and of his own legend, but he knew how to wield it, and he knew how to really impress an audience. Hell, there was a short while when Crockett was considered as the Whig Party's 1836 presidential candidate. But for as great of a speaker as he was, Crockett made a lot of enemies as a politician on both sides of the aisle, and he either wasn't willing or wasn't able to really get people on his side to support him as a congressional or a presidential candidate. I really like how Wallis contrasts Crockett with his fellow Tennessean Andrew Jackson. While Jackson was a much savvier politician than Crockett was, he also didn't connect to his rural-based community nearly as genuinely. He was a very wealthy landowner, and Crockett is on record as really hating Jackson's treatment of Native Americans. And credit where it's due, Crockett probably wouldn't have had much of any political career without Jackson making his own kind of impact first on American popular culture, but the two were totally different people in just about every way, and they quite genuinely hated each other by the end of Crockett's life. All in all, I think the story of David Crockett is an interesting read if you're familiar with the legend of Davy already. He's equal parts this character out of a novel and also a very real, very important historical figure in the history of the United States anyways. And if you want to balance learning about the myth and the origin of the myth with learning about the man, Wallis's book is a really good place to at least get your feet wet. And that is all. I really hope you enjoyed this video. Please make sure to like, comment, and subscribe. As always, more reviews are to come. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time right here on Music Hub.